Hi, I'm Adam Purnell, and for today's fire feast, I'm going to take Kadai back to its roots because we're doing some Indian food. We've got an amazing prawn, cashew and coconut curry, Bombay potatoes with banana, chapatis and rice. Right, we're going to start with the hanging bowl. It's set up. We've got a nice fire going underneath. We need to get this really hot because we're going to start with a whole load of onions, and you need to cook them down. So you need to get this nice and hot. I'm going to hit this with some mustard oil, probably about 2 to 3 tablespoons. There's quite a lot of onions here, like so. And the salt is going to help to draw out the moisture, and that is what we're trying to do here. We really need to reduce these onions down to almost to the point where they're like burning, really, because it's going to intensify those flavors. In cooking, if you reduce the water content in any kind of vegetable, you're going to intensify the flavor of it, and that's what we're trying to do here. Starting to get some nice coloration on these, but we've got a long way to go yet. Really want to cook these down. So whilst we're waiting, we're going to start prepping the prawns. So I've got the Kadai frying pan. Just going to get that over the heat there. So unseasoned at this stage, we're just going to start cooking off the prawns in this oil. And as I say, you see them turn pink, and all that flavour from the shells is going to go into that oil. It's going to be incredible. So these onions are cooked now to where I want. You see them just starting to blacken. That doesn't bother me one bit. It's all good. So I'm going to just save these for a little bit later on. I'm just going to leave a few in there, which we're going to really fry down even more in more oil, which we're going to use as a garnish at the end. So 2/3 of the onions out, which we're going to use a little bit later. And then back in, loads of oil will stop them from blackening. Okay? So you're almost deep frying the last of them. It won't take very long at all to crisp up in that oil. So you've got nice crispy fried onions there. These are just going to be used for our garnish. Okay, so the prawns are off. They're going to just rest for a little bit so that they cool down enough that I can handle them and shell them. So we're going to move on to the potato curry. So most of these onions are going to go back in to the hanging bowl. Okay, so we're going to follow that with some spices. So we're going to go in with a couple of cinnamon sticks. We're going in with some cardamoms, maybe about 8 to 10 green cardamoms, and a big pinch of cumin seeds, and then we've got just 2 or 3 cloves as well. All right, work those through. Teaspoon of chili powder, teaspoon of turmeric, and a couple of teaspoons of ground coriander. Work that in. Okay, a couple of tins of tin tomatoes, chopped. Now, with tin tomatoes, you tend to lose a bit of the sweetness, and I like quite a sweet potato curry. So the next ingredient is one that's rather unusual, but works an absolute treat. It's my dad's recipe from when we were a kid, and I just love it. It's actually bananas. So just break it into the curry. A couple of bananas will do the trick. Okay, and now I'm just going to add probably about half a pint of water. I want it to cook down slowly over this fire while I prep those prawns, and it's going to give time for those bananas to break down, and we'll sort of end up back at the consistency that we had before I put the water in. If you haven't shelled prawns before, it's really easy. You rip the head off, okay, pull the legs off like that. Okay, and then just work all the way around, like so. And then just give it a little pull along the back, and if there's anything in the pipe, it just comes out. Okay, so you get a nice clean prawn. There's nothing in this one, so I'm not even going to worry too much about it. All right, and repeat. I'm going to save 5 or 6 of the best looking charred ones like that just to finish the curry at the end. We can leave 1 or 2 in the shells, and the rest of them we'll get out of the shells. So it's time to add in some parboiled potatoes, which is just going to finish cooking in here. So about sort of 10 minutes towards the end, potatoes go in. That's looking good. It's going in with the ginger, garlic, green chilli and red peppers. Just going to sweat those down. Right, so those peppers are just starting to soften, so it's time to add in the last of those onions that we saved back earlier. A teaspoon of turmeric. A teaspoon of ground coriander. Work that into the fat just for a second. Then we're going to go for a can of coconut milk. And we're going to go for a couple of spoons of tamarind paste. It's going to give it a nice sort of tangy back note, which works great with prawns. Work all of that together. So into our prawn curry goes the cashew nuts, about 200 grams, and coriander stalks, and then finally our prawns. Okay, so we're going to make some real quick roti slash chapatis. So we're going to go for, that's 500 grams of brown strong flour. And then we're going to go in for a teaspoon of salt and just some water. It's really that simple. So I'm just going to add it sort of bit by bit. So if you rough it up with your fingers, and you can kind of start to feel, if you add it bit by bit, when it will bind together. Work it in that bowl until all the fibres have stretched. Okay, get it nice and thin. Keep working it one way. If it goes oval, then you've got to take it the other way. We're going to try and get a nice round chapati. Right, so we're ready to cook our rotis. This is called a zara, and basically long time ago, kadais actually used to be the cooking pot, so you wouldn't have the fire in there, the food would be in there, and this would be used to scoop out things like samosas, or they would push the batter for Bombay mix through the holes into the hot fat, and then they use this big old thing to scoop it out. But today I'm going to use it to put directly over the coals and cook our rotis. Okay, now just to finish our potato curry, we're just going to hit it with loads of fresh coriander, a nice big dollop of natural yogurt in the middle, which you're going to scoop into as you serve it. And then finally, those fried onions that we saved earlier on. And for the prawns, I'm just going to finish it with some of those gorgeous ones that are still in their shells from earlier. And some lime wedges.